There is a particular flavor of exhaustion that comes from being watched, not by anyone in particular, but by the version of yourself that lives in the minds of other people. You feel it in the pause between saying something genuine and waiting for the reaction. You feel it when you leave a conversation and immediately replay what you said, dissecting the tone of your voice, the enthusiasm in your gesture, the length of your laugh. You wonder if you were too much, or perhaps not enough. The feeling that settles in your chest is not quite shame. It is something more subtle. It is the quiet, persistent embarrassment of simply being yourself. You know how it works. You are in a room with people you like, people who have given you no reason to feel unsafe. Someone asks a question, and for a moment, the authentic version of you rises to the surface. You have a thought, a genuine reaction, an unfiltered joke. But before it reaches your lips, a tiny alarm sounds in your mind. Careful. You scan the imagined audience. You adjust. You soften the edges of what you were about to say. You offer something smaller, safer, more palatable. And when you do finally speak, the words feel borrowed. They belong to the persona you are managing, not to you. This is not shyness. Shyness is the fear of social judgment. This is something more intimate. It is the fear of being caught being yourself. The difference is crucial. Shyness wants you to hide until you feel safe. This wants you to perform until you feel acceptable. And because the performance is never quite seamless, you walk away from social interactions carrying a low-grade humiliation. You feel as though you have been exposed, not for who you are, but for your failure to convincingly be someone else. This pattern begins to shape your identity in ways you might not recognize. You start to believe that your natural state is somehow wrong. You develop a reflexive suspicion toward your own instincts. If you feel excited about something, you tell yourself to calm down. If you feel strongly about a topic, you remind yourself that no one wants to hear it. If you feel a surge of affection for a friend, you hold it back, afraid it will land as desperate or strange. Over time, the space between your inner experience and your outer expression becomes a chasm. You learn to navigate the world from a slight distance from yourself. The psychological term for this is self-monitoring, and in its extreme form, it becomes a cage. High self-monitors are constantly scanning the social environment for cues about how to behave. They are exceptionally skilled at reading a room, but they pay a steep price for that skill. Their sense of self becomes fragmented. They are not one person with a consistent set of expressions. They are a collection of strategies. And because the strategies shift depending on who is watching, they never get the experience of being fully known. The embarrassment you feel when you slip up and accidentally reveal your true self is not just social anxiety. It is the panic of a system that has been built to hide suddenly malfunctioning. But here is the first thing you need to understand. This is not a flaw in you. It is an adaptation, a survival strategy that was installed long ago, probably before you had language for it.
The brain is wired for attachment. From the moment you are born, your nervous system is scanning your caregivers for signs of safety. Your survival depends on their acceptance. So you learn very early what makes them turn toward you and what makes them turn away. If your enthusiasm was met with irritation, your brain learned to suppress enthusiasm. If your sadness was met with dismissal, your brain learned to hide sadness. If your genuine self was met with anything other than welcome, your brain built a map that said, "This is dangerous." This map does not stay in childhood. It becomes the operating system for every social interaction you have as an adult. What you experience as embarrassment when you are yourself is actually your brain activating an ancient alarm system. The amygdala, that small almond-shaped structure deep in the temporal lobe, is detecting a threat. But the threat is not a predator. The threat is the possibility of being rejected from the tribe. For your ancestors, being rejected from the tribe meant death. So your brain is not being dramatic. It is being prudent according to a logic that is tens of thousands of years old. The problem is that this logic does not update easily. It does not distinguish between a caregiver who could not handle your emotions and a colleague who would genuinely appreciate your honest opinion. It sees the potential for abandonment in every pair of eyes. This is why the embarrassment feels so visceral. It is not just a thought, it is a full-body response. Your stomach clenches, your cheeks flush, your voice tightens. Your brain is releasing cortisol and adrenaline, preparing you to either fight, flee, or freeze. But there is no predator. There is only the gap between who you are and who you think you need to be to stay safe. There is a metaphor that can help make sense of this. Imagine you have been wearing a heavy coat for so long that you forgot you put it on. You wear it in summer. You wear it indoors. You wear it to bed. The coat is your social strategy. It keeps you safe from the imagined cold of rejection. But over time, you have forgotten that the coat is not your body. You have forgotten what it feels like to move without it. When someone suggests you take it off, you feel exposed, vulnerable, ridiculous. The embarrassment you feel when you are yourself is the sensation of standing in front of someone without the coat. Your skin remembers the wind. Your nervous system screams that you are unprotected. But here is what the coat does not tell you. While it protects you from rejection, it also prevents you from being touched. It prevents warmth. It prevents the specific relief of being seen and accepted as you are. You cannot selectively remove the coat. You either wear it and remain insulated, or you take it off and risk the elements. The work is not about convincing yourself that the coat is bad. The work is about retraining your nervous system to tolerate the exposure.
To do that, you have to understand the mechanism beneath the embarrassment. It is called the spotlight effect. Cognitive psychologists have found that human beings systematically overestimate the degree to which others are paying attention to them. You walk into a room and you feel like all eyes are on you. You make a mistake and you feel like everyone noticed. You share something personal and you feel like the entire conversation will be defined by that moment. But the research shows that people are mostly paying attention to themselves. They are in their own coats. They are scanning their own social performance. They are not analyzing you with anywhere near the intensity you imagine. This is not just a comforting thought. It is a description of how attention works. The brain has limited cognitive resources. Most of those resources are allocated to the self. When you are embarrassed about being yourself, you are essentially assuming that other people have made you the main character of their internal experience. They have not. You are a side character in their story, just as they are a side character in yours. The weight you feel is the weight of a responsibility you were never meant to carry. So how do you begin to put this weight down? How do you move from a life of performance to a life of presence? The answer is not to suddenly become unfiltered in every situation. That would overwhelm your nervous system and confirm your fears. The answer is a slow, deliberate practice of renegotiating your relationship with your own authenticity. The first step is to separate the feeling of embarrassment from the fact of danger. Your brain will tell you that embarrassment is a warning sign. It will say, "Stop, you are about to be rejected." But embarrassment is just a signal from an old system. It is not a prophecy. So the practice is this. When you feel the flush of embarrassment after saying something genuine, you pause and you name what is happening. You say to yourself, "My brain is activating a safety protocol based on old data. This is not a sign that I did something wrong. It is a sign that I did something brave." You do not try to talk yourself out of the feeling, you simply uncouple it from the story that says it means you are in trouble. This is a cognitive reappraisal technique. You are retraining the amygdala by changing the meaning of the cue. The second step is to practice what psychologists call low-stakes authenticity. You do not start by sharing your deepest trauma at a dinner party. You start by letting one small, inconsequential, genuine response slip through. You choose a moment where the cost of rejection is almost zero. You answer a casual question with your actual opinion instead of the neutral, safe version. You express a preference that is slightly idiosyncratic. You laugh at something in your own genuine way, not the moderated version. And then you stay. You do not apologize. You do not explain. You simply notice what happens. What you will likely find is that nothing bad happens. And more importantly, your nervous system will begin to collect evidence that exposure does not equal annihilation. This is called behavioral exposure. It is the most effective way to recalibrate an overactive threat system.
The third step is to understand the concept of earned security. In attachment theory, earned security describes the process of developing a stable sense of safety in relationships, even if you did not receive it early in life. You earn security by having small, repeated experiences of being accepted for who you are. This is why the people you choose to be around matter so much. If you are constantly performing for people who require performance, your nervous system will never get the corrective experience it needs. You need at least one relationship where you can practice being unfiltered and discover that the relationship does not shatter. Over time, that safety becomes internalized. You begin to carry it with you into other contexts. The fourth step is to shift your metric of success from approval to congruence. Congruence is the psychological term for alignment between your inner experience and your outer expression. When you are congruent, you are not asking whether people liked what you said. You are asking whether what you said was true to you. This changes everything, because approval is outside your control. It will fluctuate based on mood, context, and the other person's own internal weather. But congruence is always available. You can choose it in every moment. And when you prioritize congruence, the question shifts from "did they accept me?" to "did I accept myself in that moment?" The relief you feel when you answer yes is not the relief of external validation. It is the relief of integrity. The fifth step is to recognize that the person you are trying to protect by hiding is not you. The person you are protecting is a version of you that no longer exists. That child who needed to suppress their nature to stay safe is not here anymore. You are an adult. You have resources. You have choices. You have a nervous system that can learn new patterns. The coat you are wearing was made for a smaller body. It does not fit anymore. And wearing it is not protecting anyone. It's just keeping you separate from the very connection you crave. There is a simple mental model that can hold all of this together. Imagine that your personality is like a color, and for a long time you have been trying to match the color of the room you are in. You adjust your hue, your saturation, your brightness. You become a master of blending in. But the cost is that no one ever sees your actual color, and you never get to see what happens when your color meets another genuine color. The work is not about becoming louder or more dominant. It is about letting your color show. Some rooms will not be a good fit. Some colors will clash. But some will create something new and beautiful that neither of you could have created alone. And that is the thing you have been missing, the connection that happens when two people stop performing and start being. So, the next time you feel that familiar flush of embarrassment after saying something real, you might try to meet it differently. Not with self-criticism, not with a promise to do better next time, not with a renewed commitment to hiding, but with a quiet recognition that you just did something your nervous system was convinced would destroy you. And you survived. You are still here. The world did not end. And in that small survival is the seed of something larger, a slow reclamation of your own voice, a gradual building of evidence that you are safe to be yourself, not because the world is perfectly safe, but because you are no longer the child who needed to hide. You are the one who can choose, moment by moment, to take off the coat and see what happens. And what happens might surprise you. Not everyone will stay, but the ones who do will not be staying for the performance. They will be staying for you. And that is a different kind of safety entirely. One that does not require you to be smaller. One that asks only that you be real.